Thanks so much, Dean. That was wonderful. Welcome to virtual worship with us here at the First Parish in Framingham. I'm the Reverend Aaron Stockwell, Senior Minister.
And I am the Director of Religious Exploration, Rebecca Crawford. Welcome to all of you on this Sunday morning. No matter who you are, where you live, how you get around in this world, the color of your skin, or whom you love, you are welcome here.
First Parish in Framingham has been gathering since 1701. We may be an old congregation, but our thinking is new, and so is our way of reaching out into the world on this Sunday morning. If this is your first time joining us, oh my goodness, thank you.
Welcome.
For joining us. There's a link directly below this video that you can fill out to receive more information about First Parish in Framingham. Our flowers, our chancel this morning is decorated by Marianne Orlando in memory of her mother, and you also helped decorate with these flowers for our flower ceremony.
We should mention that the Reverend Stockwell and myself are both fully vaccinated 2 weeks post, so we are excited to be coming to you live without masks, as is Dean.
Yes. So we just wanted to put that out there in case you were wondering. What else? We didn't write this script, so that's fun. I think love has held our congregation together since 1701. It's a love that is larger than any buildings or any devices. So welcome to the First Parish in Framingham. We will now share our first hymn, which is number 76, For Flowers That Bloom. If you don't have a candle nearby, now's a good time to get it as we listen to our choir sing hymn number 76.
Or tender grass so fresh and sweet, or song of bird and hum of bee, or all things fair we hear or see. Giver of all we thank thee. For blue of streams and blue of sky, for pleasant shade of branches high, for fragrant air and cooling breeze, for beauty of the blooming trees. Giver of all we thank thee. For this new morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for health and food, for love and friends, for everything thy goodness sends. Giver of all we thank thee.
Carol recorded our chalice lighting words a couple of weeks ago, so we will share those now.
You Are Never Alone by Sharon Wiley. It is okay to be tired of change. It is okay to be tired of everything different. Okay to feel weary of resiliency and wholeness and learning and growth, and okay to yearn simply for rest. It's okay to be grouchy and unsatisfied, and all the ordinary human ways of being that we are. Let this morning be a reminder that you are loved. Let our time together soothe what is restless in you. May you be comforted in knowing that whatever you are feeling today and other days, you are not alone. You are never alone. Come, let us worship together.
You are invited, if you have a candle nearby, to light it as I light the chalice in our sanctuary. Maybe. Once you have lit your chalice at home, I invite you to type into the chat, the chalice is lit in my home, or the chalice is lit in our home.
Love is the doctrine of our church, the quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God.
Our story this morning is that of the first flower communion. In the city of Prague, in the land of what was then known as Czechoslovakia, in the year 1923, there was a church. But the building did not look very much like a church at all. It had no bells, no spires, no stained glass windows. It had no organ to make beautiful music. It didn't even have a piano. It had no carvings of wood or statues or stone. It had no candles, no chalices. It had no flowers. Now, the church did have some things. It had 4 walls, and it had a ceiling and a floor. It had a door, a couple of windows, some wooden chairs. But that was all, plain and simple. Except the church did have people who came to it every Sunday. It had a minister, and his name was Norbert Capek. He had been the minister at this very plain and simple church for 2 years. Every Sunday, Minister Capek came to church and spoke to the people that gathered there while they listened, sitting quietly in those hard and wooden chairs. Now, when he was done speaking, the people would talk a little bit amongst themselves, and then they would go home. That was all, plain and simple. No music, no candles, no food, no coffee or donuts even. Now, springtime came to the city of Prague, and Norbert Capek went out for a springtime stroll. The rains had come, and the birds were singing, and the flowers were blooming all over the land. The world was beautiful. And an idea came to him on this stroll, simple and clear, plain as day. The next Sunday, he asked all of the people in the church to bring a flower or a budding branch, or even just a twig, on the following week. Each person was to bring one. Well, what kind? They asked. What color? What size? You choose, he said. Each of you chooses what you like. And so on the next Sunday, which was the first day of summer, the people came with flowers of all different colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow daisies and red roses, white lilies and blue asters, dark-eyed pansies and light green leaves, pink and purple, orange and gold. There were all those colors and more. Flowers filled the vases, and the church wasn't quite so plain and simple anymore. Minister Capek spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. "These flowers are like ourselves," he said, "different colors and different shapes and different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, each important and special in its very own way." And when he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit more amongst themselves, and then they each chose a different flower from the vases before they went home. And that was all. It was beautiful, plain, and simple as the day.
Much like in Norbert Capek's story, which is a true story that did happen. You have gathered flowers yesterday if you drove through the parking lot to drop them off. Several of you also sent pictures by email as well. We will have a slideshow of those once we have shared our joys and our sorrows in just a little bit. And today from 2 to 4, you are invited to visit the parking lot again, where you will be invited to take a different flower home. This is our COVID-19 way of celebrating this flower ceremony. We'll now share joys and sorrows.
To this tapestry of a community, we each bring our joys and our sorrows and our milestones, our happy and sad occasions. We know that joy shared is joy expanded, and sorrow shared can feel as though someone is lifting our burden. There will be prompts on the screen that will give better order to our sharing. Feel free to type those things that you are carrying into the chat box. In this virtual space, please remember that privacy cannot be guaranteed. So feel free to get in touch with the minister if there is something too tender to share.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, oh my soul. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
I invite you now to take a moment to pause and to feel the ground beneath you, to imagine you getting connected and rooted to the earth beneath you. Imagine that rootedness going through flooring, carpet, concrete, or perhaps you are closer to the earth. Spirit of life and love, named and unnamed, but who calls each one of us beloved. We give thanks for this day, for birds and squirrels and birthdays and children returning home from school. What else should we give thanks for? For people getting the vaccination and life inching ever so slowly back towards normal. For the food in our bellies. We know that it didn't have to be this way. We also pause to recall the sorrows that have been shared for people missing mothers, for all of the other sorrow that is in our world. This moment we wonder, how might we bend the arc of the universe towards justice? A 16-year-old dead in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, Michaela Miller. The cause of her death is still unknown, whether it's from mental health or hatred. We wonder, how can we change? How can we change our world to be a more loving and just place for everyone? How do we bring peace to all of the war-torn parts of our world? How do we reach out to those who are ill or lonely? From time to time, we know that we slip up and trip up and fumble and fail with our words. We build barriers. How might we take down those barriers so that we might share some of our authentic selves? I say these words and do all things for love's sake. Let's sit in quiet before we share a meditation on the many ways that this day, Mother's Day, might feel. But until then, let's sit in quiet for just a little bit. May it be so, and amen. The words for this reading, the source of them has been lost in the Google document that we used to write this, but if you want to know who wrote it, please send me an email, and by then I will have remembered the source. We have also adapted it as well. To those who gave birth this year to their first child, we celebrate with you.
To those who formalized the motherhood in their heart with the legal process of adoption, we rejoice with you.
To those who lost a child this year, we mourn with you.
To those who are in the trenches with the little ones every day and wear the badge of food stain, we appreciate you.
To those who isolated with their children over the past year, championed or dredged through distance learning and became a child's only connection to the world, we languish with you.
To those who experienced loss through miscarriage, failed adoptions, or running away, we mourn with you.
To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes, prods, tears, and disappointment, we journey with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. We don't mean to make this harder than it is.
To those who are foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, we need you.
To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate with you.
To those who have disappointment, heartache, or distance with your children, we sit with you.
To those who lost their mothers this year, we grieve with you.
To those who experienced abuse at the hands of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience.
To those who lived through driving tests, medical tests, and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better for having you in our midst.
To those who have aborted children, we remember them and you on this day.
To those who are single and long to be married and mothering your own children, we mourn that life has not turned out the way you longed it to be.
To those who are childless by choice and mother the world around them, we thank you for the support that you give our world.
To those who step-parent, we journey with you on this complex path.
To those who have found themselves mothering and parenting their own parents as they age, we care with you and wonder how we might support you.
To those who envisioned lavishing on grandchildren, yet that dream is not meant to be, we grieve with you.
To those who will have emptier nests in the upcoming year, we grieve and rejoice with you.
To those who placed your children up for adoption, we remember them and acknowledge that this is a complex situation.
And to those who are pregnant with new life, both expected and surprising, we anticipate with you.
This morning, we are celebrating the flower ceremony, which, as Rebecca shared with you, Norbert Capek invented as a ritual. He created this as a ritual to speak to his congregation that was filled with people of many different beliefs and backgrounds. That is not quite how I wanted it to be. These are the flowers that we have received from you by email. They make up a sort of virtual bouquet. Again, Capek invented this ritual to speak to a congregation that was filled with religious diversity, wanting to create ritual. We'll learn more about this as we move forward in this service, but until now, let's watch some more of these beautiful flowers that you have sent in. In the name of providence, which implants in the seed the future of the flower and in our hearts, a longing for people to live in harmony. This, again, is a prayer by Norbert Capek. In the name of the highest in whom we move and who makes parents, siblings, lover, and loner what they are. In the name of sages and great religious leaders who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of the age of mutual respect, let us renew our resolution, sincerely, to be real siblings, regardless of any kind of bar which estranges us from each other. In this holy resolve, in this Holy resolve, may we be strengthened, knowing that we are the divine's family, that one Spirit, the Spirit of love, unites us and endeavor for a more perfect and a more joyful life. Amen.
Infinite Spirit of love, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. We invite you to place your hands over the flowers that you may have in your home, or over the screen of the flowers that you have just seen as we consecrate these flowers together. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world.
Remember to stop by and pick up your flowers if you are able from 2 to 4 in the parking lot. I will be there, and Marianne, Orlando, and Daryl will be there as well.
Now is the time in our service where we think to our foremothers, our forefathers, those who have held this congregation together since 1701. And we ask that you consider how you might support the work that they seeded, how you might carry us forward into the next century. Now is the time in this morning where we accept the morning offering.
If you wish to give electronically, click the second link below this video. And of course, if you are pledging to our congregation and you haven't yet turned in those pledge forms, please be sure to do so. Dean will share some more offertory music. All of the music, correct, that you're playing today is Dean's own composition. This helps us avoid copyright issues, and it is such a gift that Dean is allowing us to listen to his music.
Thank you.
When people experience a hurt, it can change who they are. A relationship, a friendship, a divorce, a parent who treated them a certain way, a sickness. We know that love also does this, love or the lack of it. It creates a new quality of relationship or of life. And sometimes a large event impacts people of an entire generation, and from that come new practices or new initiatives or new ways of being. There are days these days where I feel numb. There are days these days where I generally feel happy and hopeful. And there are days these days where I despair and am sad. And I wonder, how will these days impact my life going forward? What ways of being now in this moment will create ripples we will feel further on? What will the scars be that this pandemic forms on me and on our society? How will this change us? How has this already changed you? I recognize my privilege. The impacts of COVID-19, to my knowledge, haven't touched directly the people that I know, from a physical health perspective, that is. No immediate family has gotten COVID that we know of. And my immediate family will be fully inoculated in early June. Still, the way that I try to cope with uncertainty is to imagine what the world will be like when this has all played out a little bit more. My way to cope with uncertainty is to try to imagine a world where there is more certainty. You probably have some different way of coping, and that is fine and wonderful. We're all built with different operating systems and different ways of viewing the world. Regardless, I don't want to go back to how things were. I don't want to go back to normal. Sonia Renee Taylor reminds us we will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. We should not long to return. We're giving the opportunities to stitch a new garment, one that fits all humanity and nature. Mike Small, inspired by Sonia Renee Taylor, says, if previous generations faced the harrowing experience of war, we are experiencing the trauma of pandemic and the new cultures it is throwing up. The task for later will be to challenge inevitability, cultivate outrage, and imagine different futures. But it will also be to reorient towards doing less. And we'll explore this more next week. That's the theme of next week's service, the next normal. So we're getting ahead of ourselves, as we often do. What do we do with this crisis? We're talking about the ways that our society changed. I'm talking about collective change. So Mother's Day and the flower ceremony, what do they have to do with collective change? An awful lot, to be completely honest. They're largely the result of two individuals' responses to a societal traumatic event. Julia Ward Howe's Mother's Day proclamation came for her convictions as a pacifist and as a feminist. Historian and journalist Heather Cox Richardson, who I know many of you have gotten an academic crush on, I think is a good way of putting it. Indeed. She based out of Boston College? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wrote this. When the sheer enormity of the death caused by the Civil War and the Franco-Prussian War convinced American women that women must take control of politics from the men who permitted such carnage. Mother's Day was not designed to encourage people to be nice to their mothers. It was part of women's effort to gain power to change modern society. After witnessing these atrocities, Julia Ward Howe wrote, "I was visited by a sudden feeling of the cruel and unnecessary character of the contest. It seemed to me a return to barbarism, the issue having been one which might easily have been settled without bloodshed. The question forced itself upon me. Why do not the mothers of humankind interfere in these matters, to prevent the waste of human life of which they alone know and bear the cost?" These words, written with such power, arise, women. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. Now, the modern expressions of Mother's Day do not directly come from Julia Ward Howe's Mother's Day, though it's likely that the founder of the modern Mother's Day, Anna Jarvis, saw her mother celebrating Howe's version of a Mother's Day for peace. So now the flower ceremony. It is a Unitarian tradition. We do have a few that have come out of our own faith tradition. Reginald Zatoli writes this: "The flower ceremony service was created by Norbert Capek, who founded the Unitarian Church in Czechoslovakia. He introduced the special service to that church on June 4th, 1923. For some time, he felt the need of some symbolic ritual that would bind people together more closely. That was the original purpose of it. The format had to be one that would not alienate any who had forsaken other religious traditions. The traditional Christian communion service with bread and wine was unacceptable to the members of his congregation because of their strong reaction against the Catholic faith. So he turned to the native beauty of their countryside for elements of a communion or a ceremony that would be genuine to them. This simple service was the result. It was such a success that it was held yearly just before the summer recess of the church. This came from a need to bind people together across religious differences. Of course, the word religion is believed to have roots in the words meaning to bind again, at least according to Tom Harper and Joseph Campbell. Now, we know that eventually Capek was put to death by the Nazis and became a martyr for our faith. Richard Henry, in a biography of Capek, wrote, "His was a sun-drenched, pre-Holocaust faith, one that sustained thousands of his compatriots during the darkness of Nazi occupation, 1939 to 1945. His faith enabled him to endure his martyrdom with an equanimity and heroism confirmed by survivors of the concentration camp in Dachau who knew him there." So what meaning do we take from these rituals in this time and place? 1, there is power in rituals. Yes, there is power in the first time that something is done, but there is also power in the second, the fifth, and I'll do some quick math here, the 98th time something is done. Rituals serve to ground us in the current moment and also connect us to the past. We can observe and appreciate them for how they were celebrated in their original context and also how they speak to us in this current moment. And the Mother's Day proclamation is about putting your deeply held values into words and working for a change. Both Capek and Howe were people of deep conviction, my friends, who took the values they held on to throughout their lives and took action on those values. May we be people of deep conviction, so deep that when we act, people take notice. We will now listen to the choir sing what has become a traditional hymn for the flower ceremony, De Colores. I think it's number
305.
Springtime with all of its flowers, all the colors. When the sunlight shines out with the rift in the cloud and it showers, all the colors. As the rainbow appears when the storm cloud is touched by the sun, all the colors about the whole world around it for everyone under the sun. Yes, the colors of the people rain along with their banners. All the colors. Yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and books and bandanas. All the colors. Yes, the colors of people.
Our
So-
words.
I'm so sorry if it cut out in the middle of our hymn. I clicked a wrong button and life happens. So these words are written by Norbert Capek at the very end of his life.
It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals.
O blow ye evil winds into my body's fire. My soul you'll never unravel.
Even though disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight, and everything would worthless seem.
I have lived amidst eternity.
Be grateful, my soul. My life was worth living.
He who was pressed from all sides but remained victorious in spirit is welcomed into the choir of heroes.
He who overcame the fetters giving wing to the mind is entering into the golden age of the victorious.
So before you close your browser windows, please be sure to extinguish the chalice flame, the symbol of our faith. And as you do, remember that that flame of commitment still burns within your heart. Once you have extinguished the candle, please do type into the chat the I carry the flame or we carry the flame.